Sandy Lowry's, and the Good Girl Confessional podcast is proudly brought to us by WB40, a platform for women 40, 50, 60 and beyond. And you can check out Women Beyond 40 at WB40.com. Today in the confessional, I am chatting with Karen Ostenried, who's an extraordinary woman. She survived the extraordinary bushfires of Kinglake, and living through that experience changed her perspective forever. From being a world-class scientist, she now runs her business, which is an equine, I want to get this right, an equine assisted therapy and learning business. So she takes groups of people through a program where she gets to work with some extraordinary four-legged friends. This is such an extraordinary business. Formerly, it's been called the Matanya Effect. She is now renaming this business to be called the Leadership Revolution. And Karen works with so many extraordinary people to heal their anxiety, but also in team building and learning all about yourself. Please welcome to the confessional, Karen Ostenried. Hello, Karen, and welcome to the confessional. How are you today?
I'm not too bad, Sandy. Just come back from a break, so I'm ready to rock and roll.
Oh, nice. And where did you go for a break?
We went up to Coffs Harbour. It was absolutely beautiful. I thought, is it going to be warm enough? Is it going to be pouring rain like the East Coast has had? And no, it was just perfect. Only one day where it was cold, and yeah, it was lovely. Lots of beach time.
Oh, how lovely. And I think we'd all like to be there right now, especially down here in Victoria where it's a little bit chilly.
Yeah, that's an understatement. When I got off the plane down in Melbourne again, I put on my one of my jumpers before I left the plane, which was lucky. And then the other jacket, and then tried to lay as many things as I could. And then when we got home, because the house hadn't been heated for 10 days, it was absolutely freezing. So we had the wood fire blasting, the inverter blasting, and it was still cold. So thankfully it's warming up now.
Oh, wow. Because I know it was like 4 degrees or something overnight. And you are situated in the beautiful, is it Kinglake?
Kinglake, but it's just at the tip of the Yarra Valley. So yeah, we're actually
Beautiful.
above the Yarra Valley, looking down at all the minions below us.
And that is a beautiful part of the world. Beautiful part of the world, but cold.
Yes, yeah, that comes from being high up, I suppose.
So I'm thrilled to have you in the confessional today because I'm absolutely captivated by the work that you do in your extraordinary business. So, formerly known as the Matanya Effect, but really you are now the Leadership Revolution, which I love that name. Tell us about your business and tell us about the incredible work colleagues that you work with.
Yeah, it's very different. It is, but I love it because it ticks all the boxes. It's very practically based. It's reproducible, highly reproducible. It's well tested, and it works on multiple levels. So it's a professional and life skills development programs we run, and they work for all learning types. They work for all levels of people, from teams to senior executives. So C-suiters easily get as much benefit out of it as possible. And it works with all learning types. So the kinesthetic, the audible, and the visual, all at the same time. And it works on multiple skills at the same time. So, and it's very rapid. It's probably the fastest way of learning that you can do. And our beautiful teachers weigh, on average, about 500 kilos, have 4 legs and fur. They're not dogs, but they are horses. So they don't have any preconceived biases. So they don't care whether you're a CEO or a trainee or an apprentice in the company. and they don't hold grudges. They have no, so they can't apply those biases in their responses to their students. So very powerful ways of learning, and simply they respond. So we use them as a feedback mechanism and a partner. So they work on multiple levels like relationships, as well as communication skills, as well as problem skills, and it develops them very quickly in the one time. So the primary focus is to expand your own awareness of yourself, what you're thinking, saying, and doing, and how that impacts the success of the people around you. And so that can be taken in your home environment, or even in the boardroom. It makes a very, very big difference. So, and horses want to be in a herd because that's how they have they stay safe. So they want to know that they can trust their herd. They want to know that their herd, the members of the herd, are accountable and responsible, and they want to be able to communicate easily with their herd in order to be in that space. They can detect and read your heartbeat and your energy in your body, so they will know when one member of the team is not on the same page. They'll know when one member of the team is frustrated or angry, and they can distinguish between anger and anxiety. So they have such highly developed, I suppose, radar system, and they can also pick out BS really, really quickly. That they'll then go, oh, do I feel safe if this person isn't reliable? If this person is really angry, what should I be worried about? So they have a very, very profound and very fast reaction on people going, And my job as a facilitator is simply to help them read the responses of the horse, or what the horse is telling them, and ask the humans, well, what do you need to change that situation? Right. And so it's very, very quick. And if it's not working, the old saying, definition of stupidity is doing the same thing and expecting a different answer. So I'll say, well, what do you need to do differently? What do you need to change in order to get the outcomes that you're looking for?
I think this is so extraordinary, and that learning that horses have such incredible emotional intelligence that they can read a person and read the room far better than human beings tend to do for each other. I think it's so beautiful. But how did you actually get into this? Because you actually, before we start that, tell us about your background, because you have this extraordinary background, Karen.
I was a professional singer on stage from the age of 15 onwards. And then coming from working class parents, they said, you got to get a real job. There's no money in the arts, which is which is wrong. Excuse me. And then so I also wanted to work in helping people, so specifically in sport rehab or something like that, because I was quite sporty as a child. I ended up going into medical science and loved it, absolutely loved it. It was problem solving 101. Here's the disease, here's the area that we're working on. We've got to find out what are the causes, what can we do to change that, what can we interrupt the channel of disaster. And the people were great. They were all there because they had a purpose, and their purpose was to help people, or to prevent diseases, or to cure diseases. So I found that environment very stimulating, very supportive. There were only a couple of egos, and they were generally kind of really down to earth, real people, although they did still lack communication, people skills. Like as we were just chatting before, some people with high intellect, or if they're in the tech area and that's solely what they're working on, they don't necessarily communicate that well. And so because I was on stage at the time, I would often assist them in their presentations, and I represented a number of quite a few departments to get funding, because I could basically translate the complicated to the simple. And so I thought, okay, so when I leave science, maybe I can go in the communications side of things. And I still love the music, and I ended up even doing that in science. I joined a jazz band, which was made up of all scientists, and we did all the science conferences. And I also got to travel overseas because science is global and always has been. So I had the opportunity to work for 12 months in Germany. And there was a few unique things because I didn't have a PhD, I didn't have a doctorate. I just basically worked my way up, and any new development or any new technology, I was like, yeah, I want to learn that. Can I learn that? And so I would just learn everything I could. I've got a passion for learning, or a love of learning is one of my character strengths. So yeah, it got me into new technologies. I went overseas, came back, developed a new technology within Australia, and then ended up in a biotech company as chief operations officer. And whenever I was in the new technology area of R&D, I then had to refine that technology and then train everyone else to use it. So got into that training space, which those transferable skills of problem solving and training and that communication now play a really important role in what I do as a facilitator in equine assisted learning. So yeah, it was a blessed life, I would have to say. But how I got into equine assisted learning in the first place was we had a property in Kinglake and it was wiped out in the 2009 Black Saturday fires. And 3 years later, I had one horse left out of our herd, and it was behaving very dangerously. So I took it to get fixed at an equine assisted therapy program, and very quickly found out that the horse was simply responding to what was happening with me. So I had, I had PTSD quite severely, and my horse was literally telling me, what do I have to be afraid of? What do I have to be afraid of? And jumping all over the place and running me down and stuff. And people going, you're going to have to put him down. He's too dangerous and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, I can't do that because he's recovering from burns and he's been through so much. He's my only kind of link, to what I had before. So, yeah, first session, I literally thought, I'd been doing natural horsemanship and I thought I knew everything, but yeah, I didn't know anything about myself. And he was simply telling me that I was giving him the message that we have to be on hyper alert and that we can't relax. So when you're in PTSD, and especially in immediate trauma, you go into hyper alertness. Your adrenal glands are going off the Richter scale and producing heaps of adrenaline, which is your fight and flight hormones. And he was reading that out of my body. And even though I thought I was calm and I thought I had everything controlled, because after all, I was a smart person. I was an operations officer of a biotech company. I can handle anything like this. But yeah, obviously, emotionally and internally, that was not the case. And he was reading that part of me. And then they said, oh, you need to breathe, Karen. And I'm going, I had gritted teeth and I was like, I am
Yeah.
breathing. And then I realized that I was as tense as anything. And because it was this dominoes effect, I would be anxious inside, he would read it, and he would start running around like a crazy thing and jumping up and down and doing all the things that you see in the wild movies. And yeah, then I realized, oh my God, I'm as tense as anything. My jaw was really, really tense. And so I took a deep breath in, a couple of deep breaths in, and started the process. And as soon as within a minute, he was calmed down. So I thought, wow, this is powerful stuff.
Wow. Yeah, that's I've got goosebumps actually listening to that story. I find that really, really, and quite emotional. I don't even know. First of all, thank you for sharing that with us, because for those, we have a lot of people overseas who may not
Mm.
realise um, the devastation of those bushfires that went through Kinglake, and how, it was quite an extraordinary time. So I am not surprised at all that you had PTSD, and I can't even begin to imagine the effects at the time, but also the long-term effects of going through such an extraordinary experience.
Hello,
And
Sandy
I'm
here
really
from the Good Girl
sorry that you
Confessional
had to go through
podcast.
that.
The Good Girl Confessional podcast is proudly brought to us by WB40, a platform for women 40, 50, 60 and beyond. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see the rest of the video, please head over to WB40.com and subscribe to WB40 Extra. By subscribing to WB40 Extra, you're helping to support the hard-won wisdom of incredible women. So thank you. Please remember to like, share and follow.